Hey, Jeanette here. If you don't know me yet, I am a consultant and coach for folks who want to leave their corporate gig and move into their own business. I'm doing this now because it's more important than ever to have control over our finances and the world economy being what it is. I wanted to reach out and talk about some problems that I think you may or may or not be interested in. I think that this is going to be life-changing information because not all of this is talked about. So, as I mentioned, I spent a long time in sales. I was 25 years in corporate IT sales primarily. A better part of two of those decades was selling, reselling Oracle software support and sales. Why is this important to you? Because some of us who are on the upper end of the sort of emotional intelligence or intelligence scale can find ourselves in careers where we may be told or may begin to feel like we're just too sensitive or too intense. And it's not because of the career choice that we've made. It's not because we can't fit the mold. It's just that we believe our emotional intensity is a flaw rather than, or maybe even a mental health issue. Maybe it's bordering on anxiety, but it's a natural trait of giftedness, which you may not realize because we spend a lot of time being told we're not good enough. So, just as for example, one of the things I noticed as a trend in my career was that I happened to be the most successful salesperson on most teams I was on. Now, that's not egotistical, it just happened. And the way it happened was because I was really, really excited to learn about my customers' problems and things that they were dealing with. I sold training for a long time. And it was super exciting for me to say, hey, okay, what is it that you're, looking to learn? Like, how is this going to impact your job? What's going on? I went so off script in that job. It wasn't even funny, but it was because I was compelled to learn more about the people that I was working with. It was super exciting. I loved it because I cared. They felt it. They weren't being sold. I had a solution, they had an issue, and we were just marrying the two. It's very natural. But boy, oh boy, did I get run through the ringer on that one. So many times my management didn't understand how it was possible that I had success. Like, how was I doing it? Because it did not match up with any metrics that they had. I wasn't maybe making the number of phone calls that I need to be making, and maybe I wasn't having the meetings I should be having, but what I was doing was super impactful. So you may find yourself in situations like that where your management just doesn't quite get it, and you're thinking you're doing something wrong. But I'm here to tell you, you are not. Because you can get to a point where you're so beaten down by the system, by corporate America or corporate anywhere, that you feel burnt out and stuck in your career. I went through a period of time where I had spent 10 years with a company, almost 10 years, and I didn't realize it at the time, but there was a reduction in force coming, and I got on the chopping block for that. I felt completely stuck. I didn't know who I was outside of the information, the knowledge that I had gained, and I contributed to that company for that length of time. You can feel chronically overwhelmed and unmotivated at the same time. You could even find yourself overworked because you give so much and you know so much. These are not traits of the majority of the population. They fall in a particular spectrum and they tend to be misunderstood because we are so capable. We get burnt out. We also don't know where to go from here. So you feel like you keep succeeding, but it feels empty and you feel disconnected. I constantly felt disconnected from management, even though my numbers stacked up against everyone else's in the most amazing ways. You know, I was in a male dominated field for a long time, and still somehow I managed to make it. There was a year not too long ago where I was the only person on our team, our sales team, who made it to the President's Club. I was so overwhelmed, so burnt out, and I just so overwrought. I couldn't even go. I just said, I can't. And I took the week that should have been this luxurious vacation and I stayed home. I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt so empty, even though I was so successful. This is a sign too. Sometimes we feel like we can't connect with people because perhaps we feel like we're socially awkward, or unable to connect emotionally. And it really feels like we're lacking in a peer-to-peer relationship, because it's true. And we'll continue to point the finger back at ourselves and say, what am I doing wrong here? And it's not you at all. It's the fact that the majority of the population doesn't have experience dealing with a mind that is gifted. It's just a fact. It's a teeny tiny percentage of the population that falls in this category. We're not better than other people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just suggesting that if someone doesn't have routine contact with someone who is on that side of the scale, they just don't quite understand. But we end up feeling like you're always explaining yourself, right? Always trying to say, explain how you think the way you do. It leads us to feeling broken, like there's something wrong with us. When it comes to career, right? I've reinvented my career 5 times over. I've always had side hustle. I've always had side interests, because it's just, I never really felt like I was completely fulfilled in the thing that I was doing. Other people seemed happy and content, but I never was. So for someone like me, and maybe you identify with this, I was identified as gifted in elementary school. And then my parents were like, great, she's smart. That's all we need to know. And she's going to be successful. That is not the case. Coming from this mindset, whatever skill set, doesn't mean that it's easy to engage in society. It doesn't mean that this kids are greased for you. In fact, if you are identifying with any of this, you will resonate with the fact that it feels like not only are the skids not greased, it's like there are obstacles along the way. And because you may have been identified as gifted early on, like I'm saying, in my case, you may not feel like you're living up to your potential. Some of the kids that I knew in elementary school are doctors and lawyers and software engineers, and they did amazing things. But it wasn't something that was available to me because I constantly felt that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't doing enough. Strange, when I was outperforming all of my peers. I should have done more by now. And why do we feel that way? Because we constantly overthink everything. And this is different from an anxiety-related overthinking, looping thoughts. This is simply the fact that your mind just moves and processes faster than other people. I have had a number of clients sit in front of me, and because I enjoy engaging with smart people, I just tell them right out, like, you clearly are a very intelligent person. Like, I see it, I know it. I love the way that your mind works. And for many of them, it's the first time that someone has said that to them. Why is that important? What does that do for you? Well, for one thing, it gives you a leg up in any kind of entrepreneurial business that you're going for. Because do you remember the story of the tortoise and the hare? If most people are operating at a median level of intelligence and they just show up every single day, they will continue to move forward. With us, our minds are going, mile a minute, multi-tracks. One of the most brilliant people I ever had the pleasure of working with would call me and have a full-on conversation with me on the phone, and meanwhile be solving other problems. And I only realized it when I recognized the pattern in the stories. And I realized, but they were completely there. I would say something to them, they would respond to my question. It wasn't like they weren't engaged in this conversation. It was just it had become a little bit formulaic. Wild, right? But that's the way that our minds process. And because they process that way, when we are given the appropriate information, right, we can harness that and move forward dramatically faster than other people. And consistently showing up will allow us to build that business faster. What I don't want for you is to listen to the other business and marketing programs, because that's for everybody else, not for you. What's for you is for someone who respects your mind and understands what it takes to get you engaged so that you can build your side hustle and your dream life, because you deserve that. You know what that will bring for you. You know what you're looking for. And I know that it's possible because I did it. One day, I had just had enough of being second guessed, misunderstood, misjudged, misguided, many cases. But what was really important to me was my reputation because I know who I am. And when I saw that being negatively impacted by a corporate structure that didn't honor my intelligence or who I was, I said, okay, I'm stepping away. And I started my own thing. I'd been building, probably like you, my side hustle for a while. So I was lucky that I could step into it. But if you're ready to just take a look at the steps necessary to move in that direction, just let me know because I'm here for you. This is such an exciting time. And I want you to go from feeling alone and isolated to feeling amazing in your business.